Welcome to the week 5 of this Winterflake quilt-along. I'm so excited because last week we finally completed our blocks and now it's time to do the quilt top assembly. It's a little bit inconvenient for me because I have this backdrop which is completely improvisational, so I will going to have some floor views, some table views, and hopefully we're going to get to it. But the most important thing is just to look at the diagrams on the pages 10, 11 and 12 where you have everything necessary and everything needed for this quilt top assembly. So let's get started. So I have all my blocks laid out on the pavement because my improvisational design wall just couldn't fit them all, because as you can see it's quite large. This is the throw size in 74 per 74 finish, but now it's larger because they are not sewn together. But I placed all my blocks in rows. I hope that you can see those 5 rows. So I placed all the blocks. I have all the halves and quarters, everything arranged. And now I'm going to be piecing them together one by one into rows. And then I'm going to be assembling my rows together. When you're assembling the blocks together, just make sure that everything is nice and even, that you are starting from the centers going toward the corners or the edges, and make sure that everything is just aligned. So here you can see the central row, which is basically this one. So I have assembled all the blocks together, and you can see it's large, so it's not fitting the view, but this is the central, and there's only one needed, this one. While if you look here, we have these 2 rows that are equal. So this is this one, that is the row number 2 and the row number 4, so 2 of these are needed. And then we need also 2 of these, that is the same for the 1st and for the 5th row. So they're basically this and this, they are the same, so just rotated on 180 degrees. And I think that regarding the throw version, there is not so much problems regarding adjusting and assembling everything together. But let's see for the baby and for the bed size. This pattern is assembled on a diagonal or on point layout in baby and bed version, where rows are laid out diagonally. Basically, there is not much difference compared to regular straight rows piecing, only that in these layouts, they are rotated on 45 degrees angle. So if you look at this chart or this table on the page number 6, you can see the number of the side setting triangles, which are basically just one square cut in 2, obtaining 2 triangles, of course. So you can see all the numbers that you need for your desired size. For example, in the baby size, you are going to need 2 squares of fabric A. That from these 2 squares, you're going to obtain 4 side setting triangles. For the bed size, you will need 8 squares. From these 8 squares, you're going to obtain 8 side setting triangles, or better say, from 4 of these squares, you will obtain 8 side setting triangles, while 4 that will going to be remaining are going to be assembled in your layout as regular, just blocks or squares. And you can also check all these needed sizes, measurements, and everything is provided in the tables that are just on the side of each quilt top assembly. So it's very easy to follow these diagrams, to follow the needed blocks or pieces, and to go to the assembly. So here we have, I just cut 2 squares in fabric A that are 12.5 inches. And I'm going to be cutting one of these in half in order to obtain 2 side setting triangles. So I'm going to show you how we're... So I'm pressing my ruler with all my body weight, and I just want to have a nice crisp straight line. And you also have to be very careful because now this this is going to be a little bit cut on bias, which will have a little bit of stretch into it. But it's good because in this layouts, as you can see, we are not going to be using those lines or those diagonal lines that are going to be placed away from our piecing seams, which are going to be these. They're just straight cuts, so they don't have any bias or stretch to it. So it's going to be very easy to piece them to our squares. So basically, when you align these two, of course, you're just going to be sewing them together and obtaining a nice seam allowance. So I pieced these two together, which are our side setting triangle and square in fabric A. And now we have this little joint happening here with this little triangle picabing, and also this other triangle, which is more problematic because in ideal quilt patterns with on-point quilt layouts, you would have this triangle provided a little bit larger in order to have this situation so that you would be piecing them together and obtaining the ideal joint or meeting of these two units together. But for the sake of this quilt pattern with 3 sizes provided and the assumption that most of you are going to be creating the throw variation of the pattern, I just left it like that. Even because when you're going to be adding the quarter or the corner side triangle, which is this one for the baby and this one for the bed quilt top assembly, you would however have the same measurements as with this triangle here, so you will going to obtain something like this. And we can also see that in real quilt top piece, which is my baby quilt top. So this is the situation that you are going to have. So I'm talking about this little triangle, but as this is only the square, I mean, it's not a block, which would be very problematic maybe in cutting it off. In this situation, I don't think it's going to be ruining a lot our assembly and everything. So I hope that you will going to forgive me about this detail and that you're going to be piecing them nicely. Some people like to stretch these triangles in piecing a little bit in order to meet those points and joints. So I don't see that it's necessary to do that, but I just mentioned that. I have my rows assembled. Maybe you can see it from here. So there are five rows. First and last are even. There is a central, and there are second and fourth that are the same. And now I'm just going to sew them all together. I'm going to start with the first and the second, and fifth and fourth together, and then I'm going to assemble these 2 sections to the central one, and that's going to be my quilt top. This is also my chance to check if I accidentally didn't just rotated something backwards, or if I have any mistakes done, which happened in the past. So here it is. I'm assembling the central row to the assembled section that are the second and the first row. So it's easy because the only thing that you have to align and adjust are just the central inner borders, so it's very important to align them. And I always like to sew from the side where there are many more seam allowances visible, so much more to take care of. So I'm just pinning it to a few places, and I'm just aligning everything and sewing. tabletop is finished. I cannot be more excited. Now I just need to sandwich it and quilt it, and I'm so looking forward to it.